Okay, I'm not sure my camera's working. I'm going to go ahead and start the lesson here. We are going to start a little figure drawing project using the skeleton because it's kind of that season. And so let me just get rid of this. I don't think it's working. And so we're going to just kind of take a peek here at the skeleton, and then we're going to try to draw one. Okay, and so the big thing with the skeleton is getting the proportions correct and finding the bendable, movable parts of the skeleton and focusing your poses on bending in those areas. And so first things first, we got to understand the skeleton. Okay, and so we're going to talk about proportions concerning one head size. And so we're going to draw using proportions of one human head. Right, and so you are about as tall as anywhere from 7 to 8 heads tall. Our halfway point on our body is our hips in the waist area. Okay, and then the legs are the bottom half, and then your torso is the top half. And you can see your arms hang down about mid-thigh. So your arms are much longer than most people will draw them. And our heads are a little bit smaller than most people will draw them. Okay. And then we'll talk about trying to draw these little bones in here after we draw the figure in, okay? And so we'll move from drawing. We're going to start in this form and just get the proportions right. And you can see here, if I break down the proportions here by head size, this figure is about 8 heads tall, okay? And then we'll just do a front view. And then we'll try to kind of sketch in the skeleton frame after we put all those drawing marks in, okay? So we'll get out of here, get over to the drawing app, and we will begin. Okay, so you need a piece of paper, you need a pencil, and just an eraser. All right, this will get the job done today. Now, I want to put figure up top here. Right, and we don't want to fill this entire thing, so we want to just kind of top of the head here, and then bottom of the foot down here. So just kind of mark your top and your bottom, right? And then from here, and if you have a ruler or anything straight handy, this is a good time to get it out. And I'm just going to draw a line right across the top and right across the bottom. Just kind of define those lines a little bit better. All right, and now what I want to do is I want to break this into 8 equal pieces. All right, and the easiest way to break things into equal pieces is to do it by halves. Okay, and so if you want to, get your ruler out and measure. I'm at about 9, so half of 9 is 4.5. Okay, and so I can just kind of lightly start to sketch in, and then I'll divide the top one in half, the bottom one in half. Okay, now I have 1, 2, 3, 4 sections, roughly similar. Okay, I can erase if I need to, and if you draw with the side of your pencil, these marks will easily come off. All right, and so what I want to do now is divide this into halves as well. And so, like I said, if you want to use a ruler to measure this, you can do that. I'm just going to kind of eyeball it. Okay, I'm just kind of straightening them out right now. As you can see, a lot of sketchy lines on here is just fine. It's just fine. All right, and what do you want to do is count from the bottom. Okay, 8, 7. And find the good line before you put the mark on. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and 0 if you want to. Okay, and so these will be our increments. Okay, and if I line my ruler up here, they are roughly a little bit more than an inch. Well, a little bit less than an inch, I should say, when we're talking about less. All right, and so that'll be our guide for our figure. And so our head will be in the first section. Okay, nice and sketchy. Side of the pencil. That's what I'm using, side of the pencil. Okay, and then from here, we'll move down into the neck. Okay, and the neck, move down into the spine and stop right about 3 here. Okay, right about 3. You put a little dot here. That's going to be where the belly button is at. Okay, and then we'll move up here to the shoulders. Your shoulders are just outside the width of your head, and they're about 1.5, 1.5. So right about that halfway point, we can drop in some shoulders. Okay, and so that'll be 1.5 shoulders. And then your shoulders, you could do a straight line, but I think it's a little more fun to do a little bit of just a little bit of a curved line on here. Even though your collarbone tends to kind of, depending on how your shoulders are resting, they could go down as well. All right, let's move down anyway. Rib cage, right? Right about 2.5, I would say from right about the bottom of your shoulders to about 2.5 is going to be your rib cage. And so just a little curved line right here, about 2.5. Similar to the line you just made up here, but much shorter. And then all we're going to do is wrap this around. And so this will be your rib cage. Your part of your build in the torso. Torso is everything above your hips and below the neck. I guess the neck counts. Now right here, we're going to do your pelvis bone, which is going to be one whole head big. So as big as the head right here. Okay, so roughly from 3 to 4. Okay, roughly. This is just a slight bit above 4 because your legs are going to be resting right on the 4 mark. Okay, and so this is your torso. No arms yet and no legs, but this is the basic proportions of the torso. All right, so moving down from the shoulders up here, we're going to go down to some elbows. And your elbows are just about your belly button, touch above. Okay, and then your wrist, it actually hangs just a bit below your hip, just a bit. And so I'll put a little circle right there, okay? And so it's just a bit below. And all we got to do to create the arm is connect the circles. All right, same with this. So the elbow slightly above the belly button. Okay, and the wrist slightly below the hip joint. Okay, maybe that's a little too low. You can see this is where your legs connect to your pelvis. So we call this a ball joint. It's similar to your shoulder, and because they kind of move the same if you think about the way your body moves. All right, and so now moving from 4 to just a bit above 6. Okay, that is how long your legs are, believe it or not, in proportion to your body. And your knees, actually, if I want to draw this correct, your knees actually are slightly inside compared to your hips. Your legs kind of bow in just a bit. Now that's different for everybody, but for the most part, they do that. All right, and then from just above 6 to right down here, just about 8. Now, like I said, some people go anywhere from 7 to 8 heads tall. So this is a generic proportion, right? So you might be a little more squished, all right? And so we're going to go from hip to knee, hip, knee, knee, ankle, knee, ankle. Okay, and for the foot, just do a curved line, straight. Curved line, straight. Okay, and that'll be good enough for feet. And then your hands, believe it or not, your hands are huge, and they hang down about mid-thigh when stretched out fully. All right, and so what I can do to represent that is just a little circle, well, more like an oval, probably even bigger than that. Okay, and so that is your generic proportions for your body frame here. And so let's make this into the skeleton. Okay, so head, start with the eyes. Just some slanted ovals. See how I slant them a little bit in? See that? Let me try to zoom you in here a bit. See if I can zoom you in just a little bit. How do I do that? There we go. So zoom, see that better. We're just doing some slanted ovals. I color them in. And then the nose is almost a heart, almost. Upside down, of course. And then for your side of your skull, just a little curve. It's like an S curve. You see that? This comes down into here. And then your skull rises over your head here. And then down into your top jaw. Okay, and then I just can throw some teeth in like that. And then your bottom jaw, disconnected from your top jaw. All right, and then your collarbones, they kind of float, and so we'll just kind of add some thickness to them. That'll do. And the rib cage is kind of the tricky part, and so here's how I like to handle this. Down here at the bottom, there's like a plate right here, and then it connects to some ribs down here at the bottom. And so what you can do is just kind of do some plates like this, and then I just kind of fill in just these skinny little ovals, very skinny. Okay, and that kind of do the job. It's not exactly what it looks like, but it's going to get the job done. All right, and then into the arms. This circle, we're going to use that. So your arm has this thing called a ball joint, and so it kind of rolls right here. And then we're going to taper small and then thicken up here at the bottom. So I can do the thicker part down here at the bottom, and then I can taper this up to meet the ball joint. See that? So keep it round up top, and just kind of, like a bone at the bottom kind of flares out, kind of circular at the end. Same here. I'm going to mimic that shape. See that? They're kind of the same where they meet. Now you have two bones in your forearm. This is your forearm. There's actually two bones here. Okay? And this one just kind of curves right to here. Or, I don't know if curve is the right word, but it's straight. And it goes down. And there's actually one behind that goes in and pops over the other side. But for simplicity, we're just going to do the one bone. But there are two bones there. Maybe I'll try to sneak it in here at the end if I have time. All right, so ball joint, ball socket, down to the elbow. And so you just do the little flare right there on the elbow. And then bring that up to meet the ball joint. Flare up. Okay. And once again, forearm. Just a little flared bone here. Let me try to sneak this one in. Let me do that again. That was not right. So this should be real small, and this actually comes to this side of the wrist. It's almost a diagonal. And then I'll show you here. This one kind of sneaks over right behind, right there. And so they do kind of, there's two bones in here. You can kind of feel them. There's two of them. And it's the same down here in your shin bones. All right, now for the hand. This is where it can get a little tricky too. The hand, I would just say for simplicity, there's a lot of bones in the hand. Your thumb connects, you got your right here, bone here, and a bone here. And so you can kind of just try to just draw them in these kind of little ovals basically. So you have three bones on your finger. So I'm just kind of drawing. They're attached with other things. And then your pinky, 1, 2, and the third little one right here at the end. Okay, and just something like that is fine. So his hands are kind of stretched out like this. All right, and then your spine, it keeps coming down here. I'll do about 3, maybe about 3 of these, or 4 if it takes you to get down there. And then your pelvis, it's a little funny. There's these kind of Mickey Mouse ears up on the top. That's how I like to think about it. And then this curves down to 2 little bumps down here. And there's actually holes in the pelvis. It's not one solid bone, right? And then you actually have a tail. It's called the tailbone. And to represent that, just kind of a little, it kind of tapers. But you do have a tailbone, but nonetheless. Now moving into your hips, the same as the shoulders, okay? And so flare this round ball joint. You want to keep that round going. And then just bring that around. Come down to the knee before you do the line. And do the same thing, okay? Taper that. Basically drawing like a stretched out C or like a hook. And then just taper that up to meet this. So the bone should be thin in the middle and then thicker at the ends. All right, now knee. Leave that circle because you have a kneecap, which is a bone. And so leave that circle to represent your kneecap. And then there are two bones in this leg bone here in your shins. And so what we do for that is a little flare here. Just kind of flare this out to kind of meet that. And then bring this down. Flare out here. All right, and then we can just kind of bring one out, tuck this behind. Okay, same on the top here. Ball joint, knee, taper up. Get that flare. Don't forget that flare. That's really what makes us feel more like a bone. Then knee, flare, and taper. We'll hide this one right here, right down to there. Right, just a little poker, just some little pokers to show that there are two bones there. Last hand real fast. So counting 3 bones, 5 fingers. All right, and there he is. For the foot, we'll just keep it this way, but it's similar to the hand, but would be laying flat. You could kind of do like circles like this, kind of represent bone, tips of the bone, that is. That's fine. All right, and so there's a skeleton figure in proper proportions. A little bit of a tongue twister. Have fun with this, and if you want to add some details to them, like, oh, I don't know, maybe he needs a top hat or something fun, you can add some details to him that way. So make sure you turn this in on Padlet so we can see your skeleton figure drawing. Oh, no. Tried to make a cool exit, but that didn't work. So have a good rest of your day and be safe out there.